Hey guys, welcome to YZ Owl. We are in our course on Introduction to Marketing. This is lecture 2. If you haven't seen the first lecture, I'll link it down in the description below. My name is Siddhant Shekhar. I'm an alum of Accelerate class of 2019. And today we are on our second lecture. Now in this lecture series, I'm trying something different. Instead of taking the traditional approach, what I'm going to do is go through the marketing process, the entire flowchart of marketing, and then pick up each one of the individual processes and try and analyze that particular process. Then talk about the tools and techniques of that process, any associated concepts that might exist with that, and then go on from that towards the end. And once all of this is covered, then I'll return to some of the newer concepts in marketing, like holistic marketing or integrated marketing communication and things like that. And once that is done, meanwhile, I'll also be free to taking any comments if there's any particular areas or particular topics that you want me to cover, leave them in the comments below and I'll get to them when I can. So having said that, let's start. Now, before I start, I have a small disclaimer for you. There are two words that you will find very often in your marketing journey or even in your management journey. It depends. Now, marketing, because it's a soft science, even management, there are a lot of cases where there isn't one particular definitely correct answer. In this course, I am not really concerned as much about a solution to a problem as to developing and equipping you with the tools to come up with a solution. I don't want you to, have the correct solution exactly identical to what I say. You might have a different solution to it. What I do want to do is make sure that you have all the tools and resources necessary so that you know how to make that decision. The end point, the end solution is not important for me, but making sure that you know how can you solve any problem or how can you approach any problem to come to a solution. That is what's really important to me. Sounds like, does that make sense? All right, let's move on. So let's start with something very basic. Let's start with the idea of need, want, and desire. Now, these three words will be used very often, almost interchangeably. However, what I want to do before I get to that is talk about the definitions for one quick second. And if these definitions are important at any topic, I'll point it out. However, I might be using these words interchangeably. Know that this is what the exact true definition of these words are, no matter what I'm using in that particular section. Need. Now, a need is a basic requirement of life. It's food, it's water, it's air, it's shelter, it's anything that you cannot live without. A lot of people will even say Wi-Fi. I'm not going to comment on that. However, it becomes important when a Wi-Fi provider or an internet provider convinces you that their Wi-Fi is the one that you want in life. So what the difference is that wants are needs that are directed towards specific objects that will satisfy the need. If you're hungry, you're okay with food. You just want any food. But if you insist upon having a pizza, then you want a pizza. You never need a pizza. What you need is food. But what you want is pizza. And this want region is this particular region. This is exactly where most of marketing is played. Because I'll get to it later on, but 95 or maybe, at least 90% of marketing is played in the region of creating a want. Last is desire. Now, desires are wants for specific products backed by an ability to pay. Now, this is key over here. It's a technical nuance more than anything. But if I don't have the ability to pay for a product or a service, I cannot be said to have a desire for it. For example, I want to buy a private jet, but I don't have the money to do so. So I cannot say that I have a desire. What I might have is like, an intention to buy it or whatever. However, the word desire is used only when the person has both the intention as well as the capability to buy that product or that service or whatever. So desire for a private jet is only valid if you're a billionaire or you at least have enough money to buy a private jet. If you don't, I can't really, as a marketer, I can't use the word desire for you. Does that make sense? Cool. Let's move on. So now there are also types of needs. Now, when I said that, needs is a basic requirement of life, what I say that whenever I have a need for a particular product or I want a particular product, there are reasons why I want that product. And when I talk about the types of needs, what I'm talking about are the categorizations of the reasons why I might want that product. So let's start with an example. Let's say you are in a mall with your friends and you decide, you know what, let's go to McDonald's. Now, why did you make that decision? Why did you decide that you want to go to McDonald's, not any other place? Or, even go to a restaurant to begin with, even if it's McDonald's, why did you even decide that? So your first is your stated need, which is the first category of reasons, is that I want food. That's what you said. I need food. I'm hungry because I've been walking around a lot today. And that is why let's go to McDonald's. However, underneath that, that's what you have said. Now, McDonald's would be doing you a disservice if you go there and they just throw some random food at you. Because this is just your stated need. A marketer should never just fulfill the stated need. What a marketer needs to do is dig deeper and understand what exactly is it that the customer wants, not just get bogged down in what the customer has said he or she wants, which brings us to our real needs. When you go to McDonald's, what you're expecting and therefore what you actually want is quick and inexpensive food. You don't want to wait forever to get your food. You don't want to pay 500 rupees for a single burger, which is why you're walking into McDonald's, because you know from your previous experience and from their communication that McDonald's is quick and cheap and easy food. Which brings us to our unstated needs. Now, let's say you get to McDonald's. Obviously, not whenever you're buying a burger, you're not going to tell the cashier every time that I want my burger to be hygienic. Because obviously, if the burger isn't hygienic, these people would go out of business a long time ago. But this is an unstated need. If you're starting a restaurant, at no point in your at no point in your entire career will a customer come up to you and tell you, you know what, I want hygienic food. That's an unstated need, but it's still a need, and it's a need that you as a marketer have to fulfill. Then there's the delight needs. Now, delight needs happen in cases where the service or the product exceeds what you had expected out of it. Let's say you went to order a burger and with that you were given a free dessert. Now you are delighted by it because it exceeded what you had expected of it, and that will make you a happy customer, a delighted customer, and therefore that's where the word comes from, delight needs. Now, again, the delight needs exist and the marketer may or may not choose to address it. That is upon the marketer. Let's say you're going to buy a car, and then what would delight you is a free stereo system. Now that is the marketer's decision if he or she wants to give you that delight need as well. If the marketer thinks, you know what, I really value this customer, he's bringing a lot of business to me, he might throw in that free stereo. But if you go to what can be a cheaper bare bones kind of retailer who is operating at very thin margins, the retailer will go, you know what, I don't really care about that. I don't have to delight the customer. I'm okay with just fulfilling the stated, the real, and the unstated needs. And last is the secret need, which brings me back to the start of my example. When I started, I said that you are in a mall with your friends and you're hanging out, and what you essentially need is just a place to hang out with your friends. You don't really care all that much about the food as much as you care about having a place where you're safe and you're comfortable and you can have a good time with your friends. Which is why when you look at a lot of the communication from Pizza Hut, it's about having a good time, it's about hanging out with your friends, it's about the sense of belongingness and all of that. So what the marketers at Pizza Hut have realized is that the people who come to us do not come to us necessarily for the food, but for an easy and a comfortable place to hang out, and that therefore that is what they aim their communication towards. Now, this you'll often find this, that marketing create needs and all of that. However, because of the definitions we looked at, this is not entirely true. Marketing does not have even the ability to create needs. What marketing does do, however, is that it creates a want. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's go to our previous example, going to Pizza Hut to hang out with your friends. Now, over there, your basic need is companionship. Having a good time with your friends and, talking to them and laughing with them and all of that. What Hut has done is that it has attached your need for friendship and companionship and connected it to wanting to be in Pizza Hut doing that. Let's take another example, marketing. Let's say you have the desire for social status. You want to be looked up towards whenever you walk into a room. What marketing can do is convince you that, driving a very expensive car or an imported car is going to enhance your social status. However, marketing did not create that need for social status in you. All it did was that it tapped into an existing need and connected it to the product that they were offering. So this is why marketing, and it's very important to know this, and this is why I said initially that 90% of marketing happens in the want region, is because marketing does not create needs, it creates wants. And that is exactly what we are trying to master here in this course. Now, where marketing comes in, if the needs are pre-existing, why exactly do I need marketing? The person is going to do whatever he or she wants anyway. So why do I have to create an entirely new field of study? Well, again, A, because marketing is what gets people to connect their needs to a particular product. And B, it's the marketer's job to understand what the customer wants. Now, the needs are like, they're pretty fundamental, they're pretty basic. Everyone needs the same food, shelter, clothing, all of that thing. But when the marketer steps into the picture, what the marketer tries to understand is what exactly is it that the customer wants. Now, for example, a customer might come to you and go, you know what, I want a cheap car. Now, if you go by that and you hand over the keys to the customer of a car, which is very cheap initially, but then guzzles petrol like anything, it like gives you a mileage of 7 kilometers per liter, then the customer is going to be very dissatisfied with you, because what the customer had actually wanted, what the real and the unstated needs were, was that the customer wanted cheap transportation. The customer does not want cheap, just a cheap car. What he actually needed was cheap and comfortable transportation. Now, in that case, it's a failure of the marketing. The marketing missed what the customer really wanted and sold the something to the customer that the customer actually was not looking for. Again, like, when someone goes into a Mercedes-Benz showroom and gets a car, the marketer has to understand that the person has a secret need for appearing powerful and influential. Otherwise, the person could have gotten the cheapest car on the market and it would have gotten the person the same transportation as a Mercedes. But this person attaches a core part of himself, an emotional and a psychological need of himself to appear powerful to that car, and that is why a person would buy an expensive car. And this is exactly where marketing comes in. Marketing gets people to attach their needs, their basic inherent needs, to the products that the marketer is trying to give to the customer. This is also important because a lot of the times the customers may not even be aware of their true needs. And in that case, it becomes doubly important for the marketer to understand what exactly is the need that the customer is trying to fulfill. For example, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, the standard form of video rental was brick and mortar video shops, Blockbuster and all of that. But one problem with them was that they had huge late fines attached to their DVDs. If you took a DVD or a cassette home and then you didn't return it on time, the late fines that they charged you, you could have actually bought the cassette in that much money. So Netflix comes in and tells the people, you know what, pay us a subscription. Don't pay us for every video that you take. Pay us a fixed fee every month. And for that, keep the cassettes for as long as you want. I don't really care about that. And all of a sudden that clicked with the customer, because I might be a busy person. I might, not find time to watch the movie for 2 weeks. But if that is okay with Netflix, then I'd prefer to go with that service instead of a brick and mortar shop where I have to keep on paying late fines for every video that I take out, which was, one of the biggest reasons for Netflix's success. Now, how do you identify these gaps? We have already established why it's important that these gaps have to be identified. Now, how do we identify them? Now, there are a plethora of tools available for that, and more are being added each and every day. However, in this, I'll give you a short list of, some of the most popular tools and some of the more advanced and new ones that are coming into the market. But again, this is in no way an exhaustive list. There are n number of additions that you can make to this. Data analysis, this is huge right now. A lot of companies are investing in specialist data scientists into their company, even companies that are selling fast mover consuming goods, or things that you would not expect to be attached to technology. Even they are employing data scientists so that they can analyze their past reserves of data and come up with trends and predictions, so that the company can be prepared for the next big market trend, or over sidestep problems and things like that. Market surveys, again, very old tool. Go to the market, talk to the people, talk to the retailer, talk to the wholesaler, try and predict the trends as and when they come. There'll be focus group discussions where you put 7 to 8 people together in a room, and you get them to talk about a product or talk about an idea, and then you note down their reactions to it and use that to inform your decisions in marketing. Customer interviews, again, pretty intuitive. You go and you talk to the customer. However, two things that I want to talk about are, some things which aren't very widely known, but they are very commonly used, especially by the big companies, of eye movement tracking and MRI scans. So in this, what they actually do is that they bypass what the customer is saying and actually observe the customer's body. In which case, for example, in eye movement tracking, it's used a lot in advertisements and movies, where people look at the movies and there's a machine attached to their face which tracks the movement of their eyeballs. This lets the marketer know that, at which point was the customer interested, at which point the customer was looking away, and then they can use that data to, fine tune that advertisement or whatever it is that they might be working on. And MRI scans are lastly, they hook the customer into or hook a person into the MRI scan, show them images of products or whatever, and then track the brain waves of the customer to see if the customer is interested, disinterested, what kind of reaction this person has to the product, and then use that data. So I think that's enough for today. That's the end of the second lecture. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We'll be coming up with more videos every week. And in case you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll get to them when I can. If there are any specific topics that you want us to cover as well, leave that in the comments below as well, and we'll get to them eventually. I hope so. And I think that's enough for today. And so yeah, good night.